Hospitality is one of the most invisible arts in the world. When it works, you barely notice it. The room is perfect, service is seamless, the experience feels effortless. But behind that effortlessness is a discipline that most people never see. Years of training, hundreds of decisions, and leaders who understand that hospitality isn't about buildings, it's about people. Today's guest has spent more than 2 decades mastering that craft, from some of the most respected hospitality brands in the world to building his own global hotel company from scratch. But what makes his story fascinating isn't just success, it's the rejections. 17 hotel owners said no before one person said yes. Today, his company operates across India, the Middle East, and the United Kingdom. But behind that growth is a philosophy that challenges how we think about leadership, loyalty, and ambition. So today, we're not just talking about hotels, we're talking about mindset, decision making under pressure, and what it takes to build something meaningful in one of the most competitive industries in the world. This is Unapologetic Me, and today I'm in conversation with Mehul Sharma. Mehul, I'm so glad the timings worked out and the calendars matched.
Most importantly, my throat worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
but thank you
right.
so much, Ekta. And I did not know how big your podcast was before I was told by my team that you're a famous podcaster. And I then felt a chip in my ear, and then I said, okay, fine, that's a good fan moment for me, I would say. So thank you so much for having me over with you.
Pleasure's all mine. All right, let's go. I want to begin with a story that most people don't know about you, which is like really, really taking you back. You discovered hospitality at 14 years old during a meal at Bukhara. Tell us exactly what happened in that moment.
So you know what? I come from a defense background, and my father participated in the Republic Day parade. He was a contingent commander. He was a senior army officer. So he used to come to Delhi during the Republic Day parade. So and this used to happen in November. We were posted in Jhansi, and he used to come to Delhi in November, December, followed by the Republic Day parade on the 26th, followed by beating the retreat on the 30th Jan, and then we used to go back. So during our winter holidays, we used to come to Delhi to stay with him, and he once took us to Maurya at for a meal there. And then when I was having a meal at Bukhara, I was like, "This is the best thing." I mean, you get the best ran. I mean, of course, I know what is ran now or the famous dal Bukhara, but then it was a time when I saw people dressed impeccably, extremely impressive behind the counters, and I said, "Yeah, this is the life I want." I mean, you getting paid to work, you eating the best meal. I didn't realize you would probably not be able to eat that kind of food, but you meet the best people. You're always in a five-star environment, brilliant faces all around. That's when I decided I'm going to be a hotelier in my life. So I had two options: either to join the army, and I cleared the National Defense Academy. Also, I was pretty high in the merit. And the
Amazing.
other option was the hotel school. So I opted for hotel school.
Amazing. Tell us, coming from an army background family, how did your family react when you said you wanted to enter hospitality?
You know, my dad was side listen. He said, "Listen, yeah, I've been successful. You do whatever you want, just be successful. When you're out of the house, I'm gonna kick you if you do not, and if you're not successful in life. So do whatever it takes, but be successful. You might even just open up a small grocery store, whatever it is, but be successful." So that was
Correct.
my parents. They were pretty cool about it. I mean, having being an army officer, he's like, you do whatever you want. It's just that you've seen the luxurious life of being in the army. If you want, you can do that, or anything else. I said, "Nay, Dad, I want to have this." I said, "Whatever it takes, but just be successful." Because uh, he once said it's extremely lonely at the top, but it's a
Mhm.
beautiful fight at the top. So it's better to have a site over there rather than being at that 99% of the people who are not generally successful in life. So yeah, that's about it. And I picked it up and I said, okay, fine, whatever I do, and one should probably follow your heart. Simple. I mean, when your heart and passion actually mixes and it combines with your work, then no work is work essentially. I mean, look at yourself, yeah. You love to
Yeah.
talk, you're a brilliant orator, and that's your success. So it's just the same pedigree. which probably I also come from. Simple as that.
All right. It's kind of fascinating how one moment can quietly set the direction for someone's entire life. Now, as we spoke, you grew up in an army background, and army families clearly we learned that they raise kids, they raise people very differently. So, what did growing up in that environment teach you about discipline?
I'm extremely disciplined, and I follow it today. Also, I get up at 5, then I go for a run, then I have a sense of a small yoga session, then I go to the gym in the evening. It's extremely disciplined. Dinner at 8:30. My parents stay with me. This is exactly what we've been brought up when we were kids. Very very active social life. Very disciplined. You meet people across. You are in a place for 2 years maximum, and then you get posted. The different postings happen in different areas, different school, different friends. So that's what army teaches you. I think it's one institution which is beyond anything else which keeps your country at top. So forget about religion, forget about any discrimination. It's the only institution which only says serve the country first, serve the people you serve second, and then in the end you come later on. So that's a sense of discipline which is being taught to the army officers, and of course it flows down to the children. And then that's the reason we are disciplined is purely because of the fact that you've been uh, groomed to be like that. I think it's extremely important in life to be self-disciplined, and this is what something we've been taught, and it brings in to everything what you do in your day-to-day life.
All right,
It just becomes
perfect.
a habit. It just becomes a habit.
So, very nicely said. Now, hospitality requires warmth and emotional intelligence, but army runs on hierarchy and command. Did those two worlds ever clash inside you?
It does, because I also it's very difficult at times to strike a balance between a bit of hierarchy and warmth and decision making and working with so-called Gen Zs and working with a board which is 60 plus and multiple investors. You always learn to strike the balance, and hence it's extremely important to choose an entrepreneurial journey, and it's my personal opinion, before you have worked in that space for about good 15-20 years, when you understand the nuts and bolts, then take a plunge,
Hmm.
because the chances of you being successful is much more higher.
Hmm.
Simple. What I mean is, I worked in hotels for 17 years, understood the nuts and bolts, understood
Yeah.
the importance of warmth, unlearned, learned, relearned, whatever it is, and then picked up the best, and now practiced or practice in the current role. And that's about it.
Very
But
nicely.
yes, you got to strike a balance, because hierarchy, we still do that. We still maintain. Hotels also have a very strict rule of hierarchy. There are grades, there are bands, there is all that stuff. Then when you are a startup, you tend to get all, but that's all life. The most important word in life is unlearn. If you
Yeah.
stuck up with something that, listen, this is what I've learned all my life, I think that's the biggest blunder which you do. So if I've learned something, I think I just need to add UN before that, and then that's about it. So that's what I keep practicing on a daily basis.
I just feel like we've literally just started talking with you, and there are so many lessons that whoever's going to listen will pick if they pay attention clearly, even in between the questions and the answers. Tell us. So, we learned that your family was extremely supportive and you chose to go ahead with hospitality. If I ask now, what is the toughest lesson your parents taught you? What will you say?
You know, the biggest learning which my I got it from my father was honesty. Now, I'll tell you and this is a real life example. We were in Ambala, and my father used to get a vehicle for official purposes, and we had a Maruti 800 that time. So I told the guy, "Ki, Bhaiya, just fill up the petrol in my car also,
Hmm.
and I want to take it for a drive." And my dad came out and he bloody slapped me. He said, "This is the government of India's petrol for official work. There you use that for your personal stuff." So that's, and this happened in front of everybody. So that's one learning which stuck with me, that honesty towards your work, honesty towards your job, honesty towards your people, commitment, honesty, integrity might sound cliche, but I think it's stuck on with me for my life. So again, these are very, very stringent lessons. They weren't very strict when it came to studies and all that stuff. But they said that, listen, yeah, whatever you do, keep the virtues and critical aspects most important before you do anything. Never have money create or play havoc in your life. Always stay grounded and humble. Always understand that if you can move up, you can always fall down, and this
Hmm.
is what which is absolutely the truth. Time changes everything. So these are practical examples, and you actually see, you go through the tide, you see ups and downs. Today if you're successful, tomorrow might just be a downfall. In month we've seen things changing as far as Dubai is
Yeah.
concerned. Last month when we spoke, nothing was there. We were pretty riding high, and suddenly there's a dip. So but this, if your fundamental and your pedigree is fine, I think nothing shakes life at all. So we pretty good. We pretty sorted that ways. Yes, that's
Beautiful.
what has been taught to me.
You've kind of covered the next question I was going to ask, so which is really nice. Now we spoke about discipline, and we feel like discipline eventually led you into some of the most respected hospitality institutions in the country. Now, bringing the tangent a little differently to the luxury side, when people see luxury hotels, they see glamour. But people inside the industry know that it's extremely demanding. What shocked you the most when you first entered hospitality?
When I did my hotel school from IHM, and then I was placed in Hyatt for 6 months training.
Okay.
And I thought, okay, wow, this is interesting. I'm gonna just come have a good life and all that stuff. The first department I got was kitchen, and I got about, I think I remember 200 kgs of onions to peel. I got about 20 bathrooms and washrooms to be cleaned. And I said,
Hmm.
listen, yeah, I mean, in my 18 years, never ever I've done this in my life. We had people when we were in the army to do everything. What the hell am I doing this? That is so unglamorous part of life, and that was a shocker. I actually picked up the phone and I called my dad. I said, "Yeah, Papa, ye kya hai?" He said, "Yeah, bloody, you chose it now. Bloody well do it now." So I think that was it. But, but what I learned is, if you do not understand the way you clean a washroom or how to peel an onion, you will never be able to become a good leader.
Hmm.
Simple. What I'm trying to say is that any small menial job, which we might think is a small menial job, but that is what makes it the right uh, gravy when it comes to a food. If you've peeled it well, of course we've got the machines and all that stuff
Yeah.
at the moment, but those days we had nothing. So
Hmm.
this is where, which came as a shocker, that listen, and working for 14, 15 hours every day, no break, nothing at all. Uh, so that was quite a shocker. But I think important, when I called my dad, I said, listen, yeah, I don't think I can do it. He says, the doors are closed for you at home. This is it. This is it. And I think that's very important, because now what parents do is they, "Oh, no, no, beta, come back. No, no,
Yeah.
my bacha, there's that My father said, get the hell out of this place. Yeah, you're on your own now. You earn, and I used to get, I think, 1,500 rupees as stipend. He says, I'll only give you a small amount of money to pay for your rent and all that stuff, but rest you manage. So,
Hmm.
but then that's about it. That's about it. So that happened actually.
All right. Amazing. Now, the next question is, what is the industry demand from people that outsiders don't see? We heard about all the work that goes behind, but what do you think about this question?
It is a demanding industry because you have to be extremely high in terms of EQ.
Yeah.
IQ, of course, you've got to be, but then emotionally, if you don't connect with people,
Mhm.
um, I think you're a failure. There are two things which is extremely important in hospitality. One is money, which everybody sees. Yes, there's a lot of capital involved and all this stuff. But if you are not uh, extremely able to communicate and get your work done and follow a line of command, I think, and a lot of people and a lot of processes are driven as a part of the SOPs. If you do not follow that, then it leads to a complete fiasco. So people
Hmm.
think, outsiders think this is nice, what a beautiful industry to be in. But the cost structure to run a hotel is so complex in nature. If you do not get your formula correct in place, you're in for trouble. So that's something which people think, oh, I want to open up a hotel. It's very glamorous. I meet so many people who say, I want to open up a hotel and all that stuff. And then when I ask them, do you understand how much is the payroll structure? What is the percentage of payroll to the top line? What should be the food cost? Do you understand pilferage? They said, no, 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 we're not doing it now because it is so heavily dependent on processes, and processes is dependent on the people. There is
Hmm.
an element of automation and all this stuff, but still, I mean, it's heavily people driven industry. So which is what people don't realize.
Kind of nice that you're giving so many layers and telling everyone that it's just not hunky dory what people think from
Not
outside.
at all.
This is
Not
actually
at
what
all.
it takes.
Mm. You see,
Right?
honestly, you
Hmm.
know what? There is nothing. Uh, there's nothing called overnight success for sure.
Yeah.
Whatever you do, and people say that you're lucky. I don't think so. There is they don't even agree to a word called luck. There is no
Hmm.
word called lucky in this world. It's all your hard work, and maybe you being at the right time at the right place. But it also happens probably once in a million. But there is just no word called luck. It's all the hard work which you do. And hard work is hard, laborious work. It's just not about sitting in the air conditioning offices and giving directions. And it's about really doing the job yourself. It's about getting your hands dirty. If you don't get your hands dirty, I think you are in for trouble for sure.
You haven't mentioned this one adjective, perseverance, which is so very evident in your story, but we're
Yeah,
going to get to that segment later. Tell us, in your opinion, is hospitality more of an art or science? What would you say?
it's a combination actually. I would rather say science more than an art.
Okay,
Because it's
okay.
all formulas, all numbers, all Excel sheets. It's all everything has to stack up.
Hmm.
Art is what I show you as a hotelier. That's about it. But
Hmm.
it's a science which tells me what to do, what not to do, how to get my numbers in place, what is the profitability, how do I forecast my demand, how do I lower down my cost if I do not have a business. That's all science. It's all number driven. And we do forecasting for next 3 years. It's all driven by data and numbers. Art
Hmm.
is how I'm selling myself to you. Simple as that. That's an art, but which is just about 10% of who we are as a business. But
Yeah,
typically, it's all driven by numbers and science.
love it. Now, the next question is one of my most favorites in the entire episode. Tell us what separates a good hotelier from a great one.
Good hotelier is good in numbers. He gets the work done. He makes business profitable. Great
Hmm.
hoteliers sets the tone for the legacies to be made. For
Hmm.
example, Mr. Ratan Tata was not a hotelier, he was a businessman, but there was an element of hospitality also. And I'm fortunate enough to personally interact with him in one of the dinners, which was hosted at the Taj Mansingh by United Bank of Switzerland. I think UBS back in 2005. And let me give you an example. I actually sneaked into the dinner and I really wanted to meet up with him. And I said, Mr. Tata, thank you so much for making such a wonderful institution, which is the Taj. To which he
Hmm.
replied, thank you for choosing Taj to work. And it is because of people like you, the reason why we're successful.
Oh,
So
wow.
that is a great leader. So that's the difference between good and great. Great leaders, they just leave a mark.
Yeah.
And that mark, it's 20 years back, and it's left a strong mark in my heart.
Hmm.
And one of the reasons why I actually chose the word signum, because signum means creating a mark.
Aha.
So back in my mind, I had this thing, and listen, a person like Mr. Ratan Tata making a statement, thank you for choosing to work with us. And it's because of people like you, it makes Taj such a great institution. So
Hmm.
that, to answer your question, a good leader and a great leader.
Lovely.
He was by far one of the greatest leaders. There is one Mr. Ajay Bakaya, which is the chairman of Sarovar Hotels, and I speak to him at least 5, 7 times in a month, and we meet and all that stuff. Again, one so these are beyond good leaders. These are people who've created legacies, and they leave traces of the good work in your lives. every day. So that's the difference between a good and a great leader.
Lovely. You spent significant time with Taj Hotels and became one of the youngest directors of sales. What did you do differently that accelerated your career?
So my fundamental was very clear in sales because it's
Mhm,
number driven. I
mhm,
used to always say I will not give up on a day till the time I don't meet my targets. Simple.
hmm. Okay.
So if I had and we had back in days we had targets of say doing 10 room nights every day. So that's a sales driven target. So
Hmm,
and the task is meeting five corporate clients every day.
mhm,
I used to not rest till the time I did not achieve. So I think perseverance played a very important role, and that comes in because of the fact that I came from an army background because it teaches you one thing which I was very sure that I will never ever give up no matter what. And if I don't achieve my target, I will mm, ensure that the next day I do double, triple efforts to get it. And hence, we were rewarded as best sales team in Taj, best sales manager in Taj. I was very fortunate and I had a extremely good professional life, very successful. Because the only thing is, if you're in sales, you've got tangible targets.
hmm,
And you're a good performer when you meet them, and you're not a good performer when you don't meet them. So there is no gray area as such.
hmm, hmm.
And I was very clear, listen, I have to be the best. There's just nothing. There's nothing I can be better or let me try. There is just no option. That is something which sticks with me at the moment also that no matter what, we have to be the best. I have to give. If today is a bad day, I will get up again and then try again. Get up again and try again. Get up again and see, you could face 364 days in a year. 365th day could be yours. And it hasn't come to me as yet. But I
But we're
keep
inching
repeating.
closer, inching closer.
A lot of people have seen they just give up once,
Yeah.
twice, thrice, four times, and they say, "नहीं यार नहीं हो रहा, नहीं है
Hmm, hmm.
बस let me go back to a job only.
Yeah,
Too
yeah,
much of failures, too much of rejections. It's okay. Let me go back. Let me do this. And that's where people just despair in their life and they only work because the work pays their bills. But if
yeah.
you
Hmm.
really ask people, are you following your heart? Maybe 90% of the people do not follow their heart. They're just doing it because it's paying the bills. Heart
Yeah.
is somewhere else, is absolutely
Yeah.
somewhere else.
Yeah.
My and you know, fortunately for me, my heart is where my head is, and it is here in hotels because I every Sunday I crave like tomorrow is Monday and I have to go for work. And I love that feeling. You know, you travel, you meet the best people, you travel across the world, you eat the best food, you get to see the best restaurant, you meet, and you also get to and you get paid for all the stuff. Yeah. So
I mean,
this is
I
the
see on
best job in the world. This is the
Okay,
best job in the world.
agree. Talk about sales. Tell us what makes hospitality sales different from any other industry.
So you know what? Hospitality sales is a hardcore sales function. So you have a hotel which has say 100 keys, 100 rooms. Then budgets are set. For example, in this month, based on the profitability, say about 35% of the operating profit is to be achieved. Then you
Hmm.
break down as to what is the minimum threshold occupancy you need to get to that number. So
Hmm.
you're supposed to do 70% occupancy at a rate of say 10,000 rupees. So all that further gets broken down into segments and areas and geographies and all that stuff and then further percolates down to the individual person, so each person is responsible to contribute an x percentage to the top line of the hotel. So
Oh.
and that comes from various segments. It could be from corporates, it could be from meetings, incentives, conferences, exhibitions, weddings, um, embassies, lawyers, whatever. Depending on your portfolio, you get that about 100 companies to handle. And you're supposed to produce, say, business worth about 40 lakhs in a month, which a team of 10 people, when they do it, it gets the hotel to the desired 70% occupancy. And then you physically calling, meeting up with people, you're doing your rate contracting, you're meeting up with global headquarters, you're doing road shows to ensure that the business of that particular company comes to your hotel and not goes to your competition. So that's how the function is.
So we've understood how it all functions. Now let's talk about a little more deeper side of work, which is hospitality is deeply relationship driven. So, how much of success is strategy versus trust, in your opinion?
I think I would say 30% strategy and 70% trust. People
Okay.
work, people work with whom they trust. Simple. It's a global phenomena, which I've realized it over the years, that if you trust the person, uh, the strategy of the person whom you trust will be seen in the right direction. So I think
Hmm.
trust comes with, of course, it comes with your experience, your methodical approach, your decision making, all that put together. Strategy is a part of it, is a sub part of it, because
Hmm.
taking right decisions, making the right strategies, ensuring it's implemented leads to a factor of trust. Trust is a big thing. It's not a small thing that fine, I trust you and all that. Some people just say, "Oh, I trust you," but it's
Yeah.
not like that. It takes a lot of time, effort, and concrete, measurable, tangible actions for someone to develop trust. It's not an intangible word. Trust cannot be like Ekta, I trust you with that. I mean, it has to be backed up with certain data, na? Based on
Yeah.
that, the factor comes in. So yeah, I think 70% trust and strategy is a sub part of how the trust factor actually comes in.
Um, Tell us, large legacy hotel brands, they move very carefully, right? Did you ever feel that innovation inside big institutions moves too slowly? Did you ever feel?
See, I'll tell you what, when you're a part of a large institution,
Hmm.
the decision making, the proof of concepts, the
Very high
very act of being nimble takes a lot of time because there's a lot of research and all that. So large institutions sometimes gets into this entire red tapeism, sort of a culture in which everything takes a backseat.
number.
Although to be more competitive now, there is an element of innovation coming in, but I
Hmm.
think people can get away with procrastination, with connecting to the people using a more methodical and a more innovative approach. But yes, larger institutions they suffer from this issue purely because of the large scale, because of the impact, financial impact of any decision, purely because of the fact that core people taking the decision are old time hoteliers which have not evolved also based on the new trends, and they continue to work like an old school of thought. So
Hmm.
that is what it leads to getting to implement the real-time innovative strategies into the large institutions. It's quicker for us because we're very nimble. We have a very lean, mean structure. We work with international partners and they are very, very tech savvy. They probably are 10 years ahead of us. They use tools which I had never heard of. And that's where innovation comes in. So it depends on your overall. But yes, in India, overall, the way of functioning is a lot of people driven rather than more innovative approach. Yes, things have changed in the last 8, 10 years. We are also, and that's the reason why, if you see the progression the country has made, is because of the fact that we are adapting to a lot of new things in life.
All right. So we did speak about your corporate career. Tell us, what was that particular moment during your corporate career when you had a switch that you could build something of your own? What was that
You know
moment
what?
like?
Okay, so I always wanted to work on my own because I was not person who could report in. Again, coming from a background of an army, you're like a brat. You're very aggressive in nature. You don't want to be tamed. You don't want to be fixated under 9 to 6. And I used to always feel, yeah, what the hell, I mean, why should I ask for a leave? Why should I do this? Why should I do that? So that rebellious attitude was always there with me, and I always had this inclination towards setting off my own. Always. I mean, I think when I was, I think about 8, 10 years, this itch was there. That listen, yeah, why am I being confined? Because when you are a part of the larger organization, you are within that rule book. But when you know you have that spirit of being an entrepreneur, you want to be a free bird, you want to take decisions, you want to get that feel of being empty. You
Yeah.
want to go through that grind of what does it mean that you have a total blackout for the next day. What does that mean? How, what will you do if you do not have anything in hand? What is that feeling? And then
Hmm.
that's what entrepreneur word is a very nice, refined word. But factually, the real meaning is sleepless, hopeless, no money, tired, bankrupt. This is no hope. People give up, parents give up, wife give up, everybody gives up on you. That is the glorified word is entrepreneur. अंदर जो what it is me and you understand na.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that was always there. Listen, what does it mean that I have nothing in front, nothing at the back,
yeah.
and see world from a and that actually tests you as an individual. However,
Hmm.
better easier said than done. When you actually go through the grind, then you realize what the hell was this. So I was always made to be an entrepreneur, always, and I used to have. I mean, I was pretty rebellious, and I my bosses used to find it very difficult to tame me because I said, "Nee, why?" And I was very I always questioned the, the way of functioning. This has to be this way, but why this way? And they said, no, no,
Hmm.
because it has always been like that. So my thing, no, no, but it can be like that as well. But why this? Why? And he said, yeah, please get the hell out of this place, yeah. I mean, why? So you don't want to be tamed. You don't want to be controlled. And I was always like that. And then that's it. That's it. Then I said, listen, enough of it. Let me just take the lunch. Although it caused enough and more grief, but I think I have no complaints because I didn't realize that nobody realized that we started in 2019. 7 months later, we had COVID. That was we lost money, we lost people, we lost everything. So and then it just hits you so hard that you've got nothing at your
Yeah.
as your backing because when you work as a Taj employee.
Yeah.
You get that kind of a respect, and this actually happened when I went to meet up one of the owners. And I said, sir, I was at the Taj and I was this and I was that. I said, sir, वो आपकी कुर्सी थी ताज की बिना
Hmm.
कुर्सी के आप क्या आए हैं? And
Hmm.
that actually shook me up. I said, yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
this is the brutal truth. Because what is Mehul Sharma? Nothing. Before
Hits
that,
you.
Mehul Sharma, director of marketing, Mehul Sharma this, Mehul Sharma that. The seat had that weightage. But who the
Yeah.
hell is Mehul Sharma? Nothing. So starting and building up on that is one bloody uphill task, which I realize today also that it was not easy at all. Because when you have a brand backing, na, it's very easy. But when you are nothing, then you are actually nothing. Then nobody will even talk to you. Simple. But that's
Yeah.
what life is. When
Hmm.
you're successful because you have a brand backup. But when you're starting something on your own, your friends become your foes. You've got nobody who believes in you, and people you thought were or will stand up by you will absolutely move out. And you know what? This is what Steve Jobs once said. If you really want to know who your friends are, get into a room and tell them that you want to do business. And can someone help me out? And if any person who raises your hands are the one who are your friends, and you'll be surprised that nobody will actually help you out. So in his terminology, he said, listen, yeah, if you really want to find out who your true friends are, tell them that you're starting a business. Then see how many people will come out and help you out. Because you'll just find that
Lovely.
things have changed.
This is
And
actually
it's
so
happened with
true.
me.
Where is
It's
this?
happened with me. The people whom I knew for 20, 25 years backed off on me, simple as that.
Hmm.
It happens.
All right.
That's life. Such is life.
But eventually, you did something many people dream about or do not even dream about, but you
Yeah.
actually attempted. Like you
Yes.
mentioned in
Yeah.
2019, you left the corporate hospitality, launch your own
Correct.
brand, Signum.
Yes.
We heard the backstory. Let me ask you, what pushed you at that very moment to take that leap in that year?
Okay. So it was 2018. Again, I was a Taj, and I was like, what the hell? Yeah, same thing. And I told my wife, listen, enough of this nonsense.
Hmm.
I'm just going to quit. And I quit without even thinking twice.
Okay.
Nothing. I tried in one or two more ventures. I lost more money because I ventured into food and beverage space because I was always passionate about food, lost money. And then literally, I had 700 odd rupees in my bank. And I was like, now what should I do? Then somebody told me his name was Piyush Kedia. He runs a digital marketing agency called Blue Vector. He says, आप किस चीज में अच्छे हो? मैं कहा यार मेरे को hotels का एक I just know how to run hotels. Says, why
Yeah.
don't you start something on your own? I said, listen, this is the money I have, yeah, 768 rupees. So he's like, I'll help you design your creatives, collaterals. I'll help you do that. Then one of the digital marketing agencies which we work with, the founder of that company, Mansi Bhatnagar, she says, I'll do your entire brand lookbook. She didn't charge me anything. There's some people who came up and said, fine, we'll help you. So that is when I said, okay, if this is what I know of, let me just
Hmm.
do this only. So we started off as a consultancy company and all that stuff. And then eventually I thought that the only way to be successful is when you are a hard brand, when you have your branding in place, like a Taj or a Marriott and all.
Yeah.
That was my aspiration. Initially, I thought, oh, we'll do only services. We'll just provide soft services, skills, and all. Then I realized this is too fragile. It's too fragile a business. The only way to survive and be long term is to have hard brand, which means your own SOPs, your own standard, your own tech people, your own logos, everything, your own menus. And I built up everything from scratch. I actually wrote down the entire SOPs. I think that's about 187 pages, all brand standards, SOPs myself because there were COVID times and I had nothing else to do. So I said, okay, let me write down. So I made all SOPs and all that stuff. And so that is what a hard brand is, which
Yeah.
is what typically a brand is. Yeah, that is what it was.
All right. I want you to take a deep breath and then tell me, what did that moment feel like emotionally?
Um, Sometimes you start. Okay, so generally you also go. I didn't realize. See, I am an extremely optimistic person, and I see positivity in everything in life.
That's a good
चाहे
thing.
कुछ भी हो जाए, I just see positive things. But sometimes when you're really going through a tough time, you start. So I'll tell you the practical. I stopped meeting people because I was going through a
Yeah.
bad time. And when
Mm-hmm.
I used to look myself at the mirror, I saw I'm losing weight. Then I avoided people and all that stuff because everything is down. Somebody told me this is called depression. I said, yeah, if this is called depression. So actually, I didn't know that. This happened. So sometimes maybe probably 1% you start doubting, yeah, am I right? But actually, I always believed in myself. I said, listen, yeah, this whatever I am doing it right. See, as long as you are clean, clear, ethical, honest, hardworking, with high integrity principles and values, people back you up. So that
Yeah.
iota of doubt probably tried to creep in, but I was just too optimistic and positive, and it didn't bother me. So I always said, "Listen, I will do it. I will do it, no matter what. Even if I have to do it alone, I will do it." So I think that spirit, the indomitable spirit of not giving up, that spirit of perseverance, that spirit of uh, sleeping and again getting up and say one more time, one more round, let's do it. Always was there. I mean, you remember the movie Rocky?
Yeah.
You know what he said in that? I think that was Rocky Balboa, in which he trained a young guy and he beat him up because he was a student. But in the end, Rocky Balboa says, "Okay, one more round," and they take up a street fight
Hmm.
in the end. So one more round is something which again stuck in me. I said, one more round, one more round. But I think this is important. This is probably my message across to everyone who listens to you and who hears this out. That listen, guys, just don't give up at all. I mean,
That
everybody
one
will
more
doubt. Everybody will doubt, but one more round, one more day, just get up and do it. Trust me, it
round.
works out. If you know your job, I mean, you've got to bloody well know your job. As any give us, well, it will happen. Nothing will happen. You,
Yeah.
sorry for my language, you got to know your shit.
Yeah.
If you know your job and you've been a fair person all your life, there is a law of nature which works for you, and it does work. It's worked for me. It works for you.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's what it is.
I'm going to stop you right here because I think this is such a right nudge to bring you to the next question, which is, when founders look back at the moment when they started, they toss between two words, which is either courage or madness that got them to where they are, and which is how they started. Which one was it for you? We've spoken about Rocky and all of those references. If you look back, what is that phrase going to be about?
Mad, insane. You've got see, you've got to be mad to be an entrepreneur, yeah. You
Right.
have to be a mad person. Courage, ठीक है, courage is a very nice, sophisticated word, so to say, which a lovely podcaster like you would use. But for people like us who are real entrepreneurs, I think you've got to be mad to be successful. Look at Elon Musk, yeah. Look at Mark Zuckerberg. Look at Bezos. Look at any of these people, and you hear about them and read about them. They've been crazy. They've been absolutely insane. Look at Steve Jobs. There
Yeah.
was this guy called Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs, and how they made. If you will be surprised the way they raised their first money also. After 150 calls, and this Steve Jobs used to call every day to the investors. Finally, somebody just came and said, "Listen, take the money and get the hell out of my life." And look what Apple, what a product he's made, which is Apple. It's madness. If you
Yeah.
actually have read about Steve Jobs and his story, he was a total maniac. Total
Hmm.
maniac. Maniac, well, sometimes you get extreme, but I don't think so. He was totally obsessed with work, but I think you've got to be, look at Zomato, look at Dipinder Goyal's story, look at Anupam Mittal's story, look at Amit story, Karthik, look at all these stories. Look at Flipkart, look at Paytm, Vijay Shekhar Sharma
Yeah.
could not even speak in English. That's the truth.
Yeah.
Born in 1978, he could not write and read. And look what he made out of Paytm. I mean, look at that. I'm actually reading a book called in fact, it's there, The Top Entrepreneurs of World's Greatest Entrepreneurs. And when I read this book, you really get goosebumps. Yeah, such inspiring stories. Look at these stories of these guys, man. And every day, one entrepreneur story I make it a point to read.
Beautiful. I'm actually going to add the name of the book also so others can get inspired.
Oh,
But
yeah,
to
there's
your
enough and more.
point, I
You know,
actually agree that there is this streak and there is this belief in your vision which people can't see, but you have such a
exactly,
strong conviction.
exactly,
But
exactly.
then, Mehul, I also feel like you have to keep building on that conviction. It's not just one day that you'll feel it and then poof, it goes. You have to keep feeding into that
So,
hunger,
so
that
I'll tell
belief.
you what. The philosophy what I follow is you have a vision 10 years down the line, but
Hmm.
work today.
Yeah.
Simple. It cannot be, oh, it will happen. Nothing happens. Nothing happens if you do not take the step to do. Not even tomorrow. Well, be who's nobody's seen tomorrow. What you have is today in your hand. I don't know what is going to happen tomorrow. The only thing which I have in my control is today. Whatever is gone
Yeah.
is gone. Whatever I have is I have it today. If I do not take a step today, it's a lost opportunity. And you know what? We are fortunate that we've got such a wonderful life. I think we'll make the best out of it.
100%. In
Simple.
fact, I was talking to a friend of mine and I was telling him, I said, people spend a large chunk of their life without even knowing what passion is and what is it that they want to
Exactly.
do.
Exactly.
Imagine us, where thank God we realize what the passion is. Now we just have to convert. Now we just have to make it work.
That's exactly what I said. Most of the people are working because it just gets in their salary. Simple 9 to 6 salary and continuous cycle. But if you ask them, does your heart belong there? The answer
Yeah.
is no.
Hmm.
The answer is no. Because as per economic times, 76% of the people are continuously looking out.
Hmm.
So why do you have to look out? Look inwards. Nah? Why look
Hmm.
out? Look in.
Yeah.
Not all people are lucky, I would say, or fortunate that they can actually dream like you've done, I have done. I understand there are obstacles. I understand there are family commitments. I understand all that stuff.
But
So, but
a story is a story which has ups and downs, right? That's how
yeah,
it becomes fun.
make story worth reading. Na, yeah? When you grow old and make story, you have make sure you have a story which is worth reading to your grandchildren. Yeah. Otherwise, what's the life all
Yeah.
about? I want to make
Okay.
sure that I have a wonderful life.
This is just going like a conversation. Seems like we're just sitting in a room chit chatting about entrepreneurship. Alrighty, taking you to the next tangent. Um, Before your first hotel partner said yes, you faced 76 rejections.
Correct.
Walk us through the first rejection. What was going on that time?
So, connecting to my previous story, somebody helped me in building my website and all that. So all that was ready. Then Kizad, I thought, fine, now since I'm an ex-Taj, I've got my brand ready. I've got my deck. I've got my brand presentation. I've got some good advisors. I've made a nice spiel about my entire thing. Let me just walk into a hotel and meet the owner and say, listen, you have a hotel. And I'll help you out in improving your operations because it looks this, it looks that. This is what I can contribute. So I just walked in, and it was a cold call essentially. And when you're a salesperson, you are used to these cold calls, and you don't feel shy. Ki, "Yaar, pata nahi kya hoga." I used to just
Hmm.
keep going and all that stuff. And the guy says, "Listen, we're not interested. Don't. आप जाइए." Somebody used to say, "नहीं, owner इधर नहीं है, उधर नहीं है." मैंने कहा, "यार." Then some owners whom I met actually says, "Ki, what can you do, sir? I've got this team, I've got that, I've got this." He says, "Okay, put in money, but what is your skin in the game?" I said, "Hey, what do you mean my skin in the game? I've given 20 years to this industry here. I mean, ये वो कहते हैं कि सर वो तो चला गया आपका, that's gone. Put
Hmm.
money now." So businessmen actually talk money as the only tool, which I realized. Your
Okay.
experience, expertise, your equity, and all that stuff is fine. Typical businessmen in India, they don't understand till the time you put the money. So kept getting rejections for about 7, 8 months before I signed the first hotel. Uh, he said, "Fine, you've got so much of passion, commitment. Why don't you take this hotel, run it, and we'll pay you 30,000 rupees?" This was 2019. I said, "Sir, I have left a bloody job which was paying me lakhs a month, and you're talking about 30,000 rupees a month." So, yeah, take it or leave it. Yeah. And I actually did that. I had no
Okay.
option. Yeah. What to do? Somewhere
Hmm.
I had to start now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Somewhere we had to start. So we gave our best, although then, of course, COVID came, we lost and all that stuff, all that happened. But imagine that's where your real confidence gets shattered. I say that, are you 2019, you have one, you have no money.
Yeah.
Secondly, you start off with a paid up capital of 1 lakh rupees. Third, you have some people on retainerships and all that stuff. Fourth, you're getting a hotel which is paying you only 30,000 rupees. How am I going to pay the other team members? I had
Yeah.
no idea.
Hmm.
That's how it happened, came, lost money, COVID, all that stuff. So it was extremely tough because people buy your confidence to some extent. After that, it is some concrete things which you have to put in. Now that
Mehul,
we've got our setup and all that stuff, now it's much more easier. But before that, it was very, very, very tough. Very
hmm.
tough. It's not easy. Why would somebody let you put your name on the hotel without you putting any rupee? Just because you've got a team, there are enough and more people.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
so that's the rejection which you face and you go through that.
Now, 76 is a huge number. Was there ever an instance that you started doubting yourself?
Actually, no. Honestly,
Okay.
no. Yeah.
Okay.
Simple. I mean, I used to feel so. I'll tell you. It was, I think, in 2018 June or something, when nothing was working out. I
Hmm.
used to wear a suit, and my wife said simply, "Listen, yeah, now go back to a job now."
Hmm.
And to really show that I'm actually going and meeting people, I used to wear a suit,
Hmm.
but I used to go and meet up with the hotel owner, and I used to tell my wife, "Listen, I'm going and meeting up, and I'm getting back to a job." But
Hmm.
the real reason was that I used to go and meet up with the hotel owners only. I used to put my car under a tree and actually have my lunch there. That was real testing time because I obviously had no place to go. I had no
Yeah.
office. I had nothing.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
And my wife used to think, fine, he's tried, didn't work out. It's okay. My parents used to say the same thing. Fine, yeah, if you tried, don't, now go back to a job. Simple. You were in Taj, now go back. You
Hmm.
tried something, it didn't work out. So it happens. But I said, nahi, yaar, enough. I will not. I will not. One more day. And my wife is like, yeah, listen, you've had such an exceptional career. Why is it that you're not getting a job? I said,
Hmm.
no, because of times nahi hai, abhi ye nahi hai, wo nahi hai. But the fact was that I was meeting up with these owners only before
Yeah.
I got the first one.
Because your heart was in it. You didn't want to think about the job
Exactly.
again
Yeah,
at
yeah,
all.
yeah. And you know what? So what will you do when you face yourself in the mirror the next day? Listen, yeah, you had so much of dreams,
Hmm.
and Now that you've got rejection, how will you face yourself
Hmm.
if you're giving up?
Yeah.
That was one thing. I always thought I will not be able to face myself. Leave world aside, yeah. Leave parents. They all will accept you as you are, your wife, your kids, and all that stuff. But will you be able to accept yourself? I
Yeah.
I I thought no. I had such dreams. I will do this. I will do the bullshit. Yeah, one failure,
Hmm.
two failure, five failures, and gone. So no, let's do it again. Let's do it again. Again, that's the spirit which actually helped me. And I'm grateful that I just did not give up. But no
Did
doubt,
any of those 76 people later came back and say, "Oh, we made a mistake"?
but nobody does it. Nobody does
Okay.
it. That's life. Nobody comes and says simple. Life just moves on.
Well, shifting the tangent to a brighter side, now we're going to bring you to the side where now Signum was born. What gap in the hospitality market were you trying to solve when you started the brand? What is it that you had in mind?
I always thought that the hotels should create more of experiential stays. You could connect with the local roots, connect
Hmm.
with local people, help diminish a bit of poverty when you make a hotel, give employment to people, connect with your mother nature by growing your own food there, use less chemicals,
Hmm.
um, uh, do something in which you return it back to the society. That was the thought process, and it was a very genuine, and we continue to do that. Um, and that was the gap which I thought, because everything was very commercialized.
Hmm.
Everything was driven by balance sheets. Everything was driven by the earnings per share, the free
Hmm.
cash flows, the EBITDA, because that's how businesses are. We are also driven like that.
Hmm.
Core fundamental of making a hotel brand was to genuinely help uh, people grow an environment.
Hmm.
So today we're running a resort, for example, in Bandhavgarh. We've got local artists. These are called Gond artists. They're making the art there. We've got
Okay.
people who make potteries there, and we give them money and we give them livelihood. And whatever is being sold off, we give a percentage of that share to them. Those people are genuinely so poor that
Hmm.
you know what? And this is, I was there a couple of weeks back that they said, sir, हमें आप सिर्फ खाना दे दीजिए, don't pay us anything. Or
Hmm.
in Bandhavgarh, there is a fruit called mahua. They said,
Hmm.
allow us to collect this fruit called mahua because we will sell at 200 rupees kg. And the entire day, the ladies are doing artwork in the hotel, making Gond art in our resort. They're
Hmm.
cleaning the entire resort and they don't take money.
Wow.
And now the idea is all the potteries which we do, we're selling and we're paying to these people. We are employing local people there. We're growing our own vegetables there. The farmers, we have taken those farmers and told them, listen, it's a large 7 acre resort. And we've told them, this is our resort. Grow the vegetables. Those vegetables will be cooked and used in our kitchens. Guests will, but we will pay you. So
Hmm.
the ladies come there every day. This is what I am meant to give it back to the society. And it's wonderful then you actually are helping in somebody's livelihood, because you know what? The
Yeah.
most important thing in a day is to ensure that people get their right 3 meals there. And unfortunately, people don't even get that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it is such a humbling experience when you meet these people who do not get one meal a day.
Hmm.
So now they're getting their cows and they're saying, you take milk and you want to use it and all that stuff. So what I'm trying to say is that deep down, we're living in a nice world. We've got nice offices and all that stuff. But the fact of the matter is that there is a different society also which exists.
Yeah.
We need to ensure that if God has been kind to us, we've got to give it back to them.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Um.
what's the point having a life here in which you're not gonna take everything with you now? Yeah? Neither will I, neither will you, neither will anybody. If you've got money, bloody do it.
Yeah. So when the notion is so strong, tell us, why do independent hotels still struggle in today's ecosystem?
Because owners, na, yeah, owners are greedy. Unfortunately, owners, they will pay 7,000 rupees to their employees and they will ensure that they make the maximum profits. They will make sure that the people work for 14 hours a day and do not pay them. They will ensure that the money, the food which they're eating is just barely enough. And I mean, it's not that I'm trying to boast and all this stuff, but we always, whenever we visit a hotel, we have a meal with our staff because we want to ensure how is the food they're eating because um, that's the basic care of a human right to get the right kind of food. So
Hmm.
the greed is something which defines everything in this world. Look at the current situation. It's all greed. All
Yeah.
greed. Oil, power, war, nuclear, it's all greed, ego, hustle here and there. That's about it. So the greed has crept in into the owners. They
Hmm.
squeeze the hell out of these people. They just want to ensure that they become rich. So the problem with our country is the problem is the disparity of wealth
Hmm.
is the problem that the rural and urban gap is so huge. The problem is that only 3% pay income taxes. Problem is that the dependency on the people who are paying income taxes is so high because generally people are just being poor. The rich has just gotten more richer and the poor has just gone down.
Hmm.
Although the government has done a lot of efforts, but um, um, it will actually take the mindset of people like me and you to change.
All right, tell me, how do you ensure authenticity in hospitality? Now, we heard about that meal with the staff and how you do it differentiating the other owners. But is there something else that you'd like to add when we talk about authenticity?
But the most important is see, when you are in a place, you would want to experience local flavors, local food. So we pick up local dishes. We ensure that you have a certain itinerary plan which picks up the best local stuff there.
Hmm.
You ensure that you do the bird spotting, which is absolutely, I mean, I'm just giving an example, or anything which is unique to that place. You ensure that you see the attire which is unique to those culture. You create a small boutique in every hotel of ours. We create a boutique which is called Signum Boutique, in which we pick up local artisanal work, local artwork, local spices, and we ensure that that is being used. So, what is the
Hmm.
point in you traveling to a city like Kurg and not experiencing the coffee there, which is actually from the plantation? Or similarly in Assam, and or you're not actually going through the plucking of the tea leaf. If you're not
Yeah.
experiencing anything, that's the experience you have to give, na. वो
Yeah.
आपके रूम में बैठ के it'll never happen. You have to actually step out and see how the ladies are actually doing it. That is
Yeah.
what we create.
All right.
Connect with local, connect with people, and yeah, and that's it.
Beautiful. Now, just when Signum was beginning to grow, the entire hospitality industry faced a crisis. We spoke about it a little bit in the back about the pandemic. So, COVID was clearly devastating for the hospitality sector as well. What did those first weeks feel like as a founder to you?
It was 21st March when we returned from Dehradun. We had a property in a place called Dhanolti, and we had a meeting on I think 21st or 22nd with one of the owners in Taj Palace, and we heard some murmurs coming in that oh there's some virus which has come in and all that stuff, and we just thought okay fine. 23rd I think I remember we were at the hotel, and then suddenly we started getting news that there is something happening and all that stuff. We all went back home and all that stuff. So we thought there was like everybody ठीक है यार कुछ then the prime minister came and this is lockdown and all that stuff. We thought till hoga kuch but then the real effect started coming in after a few days. So what
Yeah.
happened is I got a special pass. I used to come to my office and I used to think यार क्या करना है क्या करना है. Everything was shut in India. Um, Honestly, I was completely blank. I had no idea. I had no idea because a lot of our money was stuck with the hotel owners and they were not paying up because they said how do we pay when then there's a global crisis and all that stuff? So people did not pay because they used that as on a pretext because of the crisis. I said, yeah, but that's for the fact that we've already worked, ना. अब
Yeah.
वो आगे crisis वो कह रहे नहीं अब तो हम कुछ नहीं करेंगे. So we lost that money also.
Hmm.
So I think to give you a very simple answer, completely blank. I had no clue what to do.
Hmm.
Then and it's another story. So what I did was then first wave came we crippled back. Then the second wave was even devastating, really bad. And they were like, what the hell is happening? Because India was totally shattered. And
Yeah.
then what I thought was, yeah, instead of working in India, let me try to reach out to owners outside India. So I
Mm-hmm.
actually started writing emails to a lot of owners outside India. I actually wrote 5,500 emails, made a presentation, and as I wrote over a period of 6, 7 months that how an Indian company can help you in running your hotels, apartments, businesses in US, UK, anywhere. I used to just do this every day because see, you know what? When you like Charles Darwin theory, survival of the fittest,
Yeah.
and I believe truly believe in that that जब आपको when you have no support inwards, what do? You have to think out of the box, na? So when
Hmm.
India may every owner is everything is gone shut. What do I do? So I started thinking, okay, let me try to approach owners outside India. So 6 months I sent 5,800 emails to so many people. Obviously, 95% of the people never reverted. Some reverted, nothing happened. However, 8 companies I remember who said, okay, fine, what do you have to offer? Then I
Hmm.
gave presentation. I said, okay, if you have a hotel in US or in Canada or in UK, how will Indians help you run those hotels? Help you in terms of your driving efficiencies because Indians are known for hospitality. We understand hotels extremely well. We understand numbers. Obviously, they said, yeah, bullshit. One of the companies which actually showed some interest was a brand in UK called 360 Stays. They're actually the second largest hotel apartment company in UK. Uh, there's a fine. What do you have? So I gave them a presentation that if I send people from India to UK, how will it help in the larger scheme of things at
Hmm.
a much conservative salary? How will it work when we have the entire operations being handled from India? So it took me about a year and a half to convince them, and finally we signed up with them in 2022 in October, in which we sent people from India into UK. That was a turning point for us, and our revenues actually we entered into an agreement. So we sent about 12 people from India into UK. They're still there. So all those apartments, hotel apartments in Heathrow, there were about 400 of them. The large properties is being managed by us. They are the asset owners and we are the operators. That
Okay.
actually turned around our fortune, and like we say, na, fortune favors the brave and whatever so called. So
Yeah.
I was being the brave one, and we our revenues doubled, tripled, and all that stuff. And then one of those partners moved into Dubai. I also took my citizenship and residency in Dubai, and then we built up a portfolio in Dubai. And that's the whole story for the last 3 years.
Wow. Amazing. Who could have thought? But those were the tough times. And through our research, we got to know that you made a decision to sell personal assets to secure employees remain paid.
Then, yeah, you see, the point is when you're going through a crisis like COVID, I
Yeah.
still remember a guy who worked for a large chain. He sent me a message on LinkedIn, and I'm being absolutely honest about it. He says, sir, if you have any leftover food, can you give that to me? Because I don't even have food to eat. And this is the truth. It was such a shattering time,
Hmm.
such a tough time. So, we had to do whatever it takes to survive, and people were dependent on you. They had nowhere to go. So even if that means that you are selling of your personal stuff, I think it's fine. Yeah, there's nothing wrong in that. Yes, I did that, but the idea was I can't just wash my hand and say, listen, yeah, bugger off. I actually belong to Shimla. My parents were in Shimla. They said, listen, yeah, let's go to Shimla for about a year, stay there only till things settle down. I could have done that very easily, but I think it's not fair. It's
Yeah.
not fair. If people are dependent on you, and one day when the crisis hit and you probably plan to completely disown them, it's not fair. So, yeah, see, in this journey, we would have sometimes we would have upset people. We said that we'll have half the salaries being paid. We delayed a lot of stuff. People would have got upset. But genuinely, we always tried to help anyone. And when you are you have a limited capacity and you have 50 mouths to feed, you also struggle, nah? Because
Yeah.
they have. probably me to look up to. Who do I look up to? I got nobody.
Yeah.
I can't ask my dad and mom. They're like, yeah, what the hell, yeah. I mean, just finish off now. You've not taken the responsibility of running their homes. Morally, yes, I have. The
Hmm.
parent will say, listen, yeah, it's a natural global calamity. I'm sure everybody will understand. But they will not understand that an office boy who's earning 10,000 rupees, he's just dependent on you. Where
Yeah.
will he and where will he get his meal? So, anyways, that was the thought process. But yeah, all's well which ends well, I would say.
Yeah. Okay, let's zoom out for a moment and talk about the industry as a whole. What is the one truth about the hospitality industry that insiders know, but nobody says publicly?
It's a very challenging, demanding industry. It's extremely volatile. Unfortunately, it's controlled by a lot of external factors.
Hmm.
It's controlled a lot by the socioeconomic conditions. It's controlled a lot by a small issue happening anywhere in the world, and your business takes a hit.
Hmm.
So it is so volatile in nature that everything is dependent in this industry, and it looks nice and glamorous, but it is all linked to multiple things which is happening in the remotest of the world, and it affects you. So
Hmm.
what I'm trying to say is that very volatile. It is, people understand, because you're depending on the foreign tourism. You depending on your, see, currently, like today onward, the ATF, the turbine fuel, the prices have been increased by 200%.
Yeah.
The LPG cylinders. So the AFAs have shot, occupancies are straight away down by 10%. Straight. That's the impact. So people understand, but again, to run a very well-oiled machine, you have to be dependent on a lot of factors which depends and which are not in your control. It is
Hmm.
totally out of your control. The only thing in your control is your current operations, but everything else is external factors.
Hmm.
Your taxation, your electricity bills in different states, your GST in different states, your policies also vary in different states. So all that is something which to ensure that everything is bind together is something which is very intrinsic in nature, and something which is extremely inside stuff. People would not understand all this stuff from outside. As an insider, I think it's heavily dependent on people, on capital. People think that, oh, we'll have AI and this and that. I don't think so. It's not going to happen. Uh, we can't have AIs doing food orders and cooking and all this. It's not going to happen.
All
There
right.
might be certain automation, but not to an extent that we all think and all that stuff.
Tell us, if hospitality disappeared tomorrow, would customers actually notice a difference between most hotel brands? How would the world be?
No, so when you say, if hospitality disappears, means what?
If there's no distinction in terms of what distinguishes one brand to another,
Okay,
then
okay. You know what, people, some brands follow a very stringent process called the NPS, the Net Promoter Score, in which the repeat guest ratio is extremely high. And it's a very strong parameter and a tool to measure your success.
hmm,
So, and people stick on to the hotels. Yes, price factor, because it's price sensitive, but they also stick on to hotels in terms of very high recall value, in terms of high personalized services, in terms of
mhm.
one special episodes which has happened in a hotel in which Ekta Khurana was made to feel like a queen, will ensure that Ekta visits that hotel every time and again. And that
Hmm,
differentiates. So if you go to a resort or a hotel and you ordered say a single espresso, and
hmm,
you probably ordered for aliolo pasta, or you've read Financial Express, and you've ordered for some stuff, all those likes and dislikes, if it's been captured well, which is
hmm,
what a lot of companies fail, and on
hmm,
the next visit, The proactiveness says, Miss Khurana, shall I get you your single espresso?
I
That
was like,
is
wow.
and that's what will decide and define your complete loyalty, and you will stick on to that. Simple. You will
Yeah.
say, listen, yeah, these guys know what I like, and I'd
Hmm.
love to. And then, of course, most critical department in a hotel which ensures a very high guest loyalty. Can you guess? It's the housekeeping. Because
Really?
housekeeping act, yes. And I'm purely stating your facts. Why? Because your bedroom is
Yeah.
your most personal and your private space, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And if I'm a housekeeping guy, I have seen where do you keep your shoes, what brand do you wear, how do you like to be kept. If you ordered for some magazine which is financial in nature or anything in nature, what is the kind of food which you ordered? How, where do you keep your mascara? What brand do you use? What coffee do you use? What do you order for breakfast? Who is the one who knows you more than anybody else in the hotel? It's the housekeeping.
Yeah.
And the moment they capture all this information and puts it in the profile of Ekta Khurana, next time when Ekta Khurana makes a call, first is you get addressed. And second,
Hmm.
when you come in, you get exactly what you asked or you had in your last visit.
Hmm.
That's where the loyalty and that's where the hospitality comes in. And that's the reason why some brands are so successful and some brands are not successful.
Love the answer. But I'm going to take you from the business for a moment and we're going to bring the human side of Mehul now. You've traveled to over 67 countries. Which destination changed you the most?
I loved Switzerland because it was absolutely mesmerizing. And it's like you see a postcard, and Switzerland is actually like that. And when you actually take a train from, I think we went from Zurich to Interlaken and you went to Jungfrau, and such beautiful places exist. Extremely warm people. Swiss Air, I don't know if you've had a chance to travel by Swiss Air, probably one of the best airlines. Extremely, extremely, extremely good service.
Hmm.
Um, uh, you know what? Thailand, for example, is extremely warm again because they're dependent on Sri Lankan, very laid back, very warm. Malaysia, Langkawi, Singapore is all commercialized. Langkawi is
Hmm.
laid back, relaxed, very high on EQ. Singapore, very high on IQ. Uh, Britain is cold. As it is, it's cold, and people are just bothered about that. Austria, very nice. Sweden, Hungary, beautiful places. US, they just think that they are the best. China, very progressive. I must say, we're probably about 70, 80 years ahead of us. So I think it's a whole gamut of a lot of things which uh, teaches you so many things and different perspective, different people, extremely heartwarming experiences at times when you drive actually through the Black Forest, or you probably go to an autobahn and drive at about 200 kilometers. Uh, the German engineering is truly German engineering, and Japan, for example, extremely disciplined people. Extremely, I mean, they work like a bloody robot, यार. I mean, बिल्कुल वो वैसे ही हैं कि ऐसे ही है. So, what I'm trying to say is that country has very, very unique experiences to offer. And I
Hmm.
think you're lucky if you've traveled and you've been to
Yeah.
so many countries and you meet so many people. You try so much of food. I think every country has their own pros and cons. Yeah,
Talk about the meal. What is the most unforgettable meal you've ever had? One
meal.
unforgettable
In a restaurant called El Bulli and a restaurant of this chef, what's his name? Gordon Ramsay.
meal. Okay.
So El Bulli, the waiting is about 2.5 years, 3 years. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's in Spain. So yeah, 3 years waiting, and it's actually molecular cuisine. So they do fusion and all that stuff. Gordon Ramsay, outstanding. Then I went to another restaurant in London and in Soho. It was an African restaurant, and I tried alligator and an animal called I'm forgetting the name. It was bloody horrible. Then China, Indians. I mean, in Indian restaurants are pretty good. Bukhara is brilliant. A couple
Yeah.
of Indian restaurants are very good, but I think I love Gordon Ramsay. I also there's a bit of a hype over there, and then New York, Manhattan, especially in the Central Park area, there's some amazing restaurants which serve probably one of the best pizzas and all that stuff. I think yeah, so enough and more. So I don't even remember now. In London also they do good Indian curries. But again, if you understand the curries very well, you will understand because the curries over there are not the typical curries which you would want in India. So you find that taste. But although they're major hit in London.
So, talking to you, I've kind of realized that it was hard to figure out one dish because the food in itself, you love food, and also the way you express food. Obviously, the love for hospitality then breathes from there. All right, tell us, we got to know that you have quite a shoe collection. What's the story there, Mehul?
So when you work for hotels and brand, you like a good lifestyle, and I'm fortunate enough to have a very good collection of single malts. I've also collected cigars, and I've got a humidor at my place. So I do that. Then shoes, yes, I like them because I just like them, and I like watches, and I like perfumes. So yes, collection. So wherever I've traveled, I've always picked up a shoe there. I like all those brands which are known, the Fred Perry's or Armani's or Onitsuka's, or I love Onitsuka's by the way.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's just that you um you will enjoy a good life also now. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's about it. Yeah, so
Right.
perfumes, watches, single malts, shoes, clothes. Yes, bit fetish for all of these things. Yes.
All right. Take a moment. Tell us, what do people misunderstand about you?
They probably feel that I'm extremely aggressive and I'm very cold, probably, but I'm not. I'm actually I do care for people. And
Okay.
I sometimes I get overboard, and then people think that he's just trying to be more personal and all that stuff. That's not the truth. The truth is that genuinely I take care of people. They feel sometimes that I'm very, I don't know. I think I'm very aggressive. I'm very aggressive at work. I'm continuously pushing people. But the idea is I just want to be successful, yeah. And I push people very hard. Yes, I do that.
Hmm.
But again, nothing personal. It's for me, it's just work, and that's about it. If there's no work, then I am the first person to just part ways because I do not continue with things which, and I do not believe. See, in 1, 2, 3 months, you understand people, and there's an
Yeah.
alignment. If it's not working out, let's just cut it off. There's no one.
Hmm.
Oh, we'll give another 6 months, 3 months. Nobody's got the time for all that stuff. Time is money. Everything. We are in such a cusp of changing things. Every day costs us a lot of money. We're going through these turmoils, so we've got to be quick. People who get aligned with the startup culture will ship in. Otherwise, ship out.
All right. Okay. Bringing you to the final stretch of the conversation. It's the rapid fire segment. So, quick answers. Question is, best hotel in the world?
Ritz Carlton, Washington D.C.
Alrighty. City with the best hospitality.
Bangkok. Yeah, Maldives, Mauritius also. Yeah.
Alright, cool. Biggest mistake founders make.
Um, they overestimate the sales and underestimate the expenses. So it should
Mm,
be the other way around. Always underestimate your sales and overestimate your expenses so that you know how you will strive and survive in absolutely thin line. Go mad when they get funding. It's just not the case. Just stay grounded. I think that's also probably I feel some of the founders have made mistakes, or they make mistakes.
nice. What kind of people should never enter hospitality?
If you generally don't take care of people, if you're generally not a warm person, if you do not have a heart at the right place, don't get into it. Because if
Alright.
you're not genuine, it'll come to your face.
Hmm.
And if
Hmm.
you're not warm and you genuinely do not take care of people and you're not a hospitable and a person, it's not for you.
Alright, last one for this segment. One leadership trait every founder needs.
Empathy, understanding finance. See, two things, I think, people and money. Understand these two things.
All right. Okay. All right. Final question. Now, Mehul, this podcast is called Unapologetic Me for a reason. At this stage in your life, what is something you're completely unapologetic about?
We're actually unapologetic about being brash, being aggressive, being where I am. I'm absolutely unapologetic about it. Uh, being thinking like a crazy, thinking weird ideas. I'm absolutely unapologetic about it. Um, I am unapologetic about the fact that I have dared to dream. I am unapologetic about the fact that I have dared to dream that why can't an Indian brand become a global brand? I'm unapologetic about the fact that why can't I take on biggies of this world? I'm unapologetic about the fact that uh, why should I not be successful in life?
Let's
I
go.
am unapologetic about the fact that why can't we rule the world when it comes to hospitality? Unapologetic about the fact that we will become a 1,000 crore company.
Let's go.
So yeah,
Good one. All right. So that's a wrap. I usually ask with all my guests how was their experience on the episode, about the content.
lovely. I just loved every bit of it. I think you got the most important thing is, let me tell you also something very honestly. You had sent the questionnaire,
Mhm.
right? I did not go through it at all
Okay,
because
beautiful.
sorry.
So that's a good thing.
It is because when I read the subject matter, it says unapologetic me. And I think I remember discussing, and you said you got to be yourself. And when you are yourself, now you don't, one, you don't make up stories, you speak the truth. And when you speak the truth and when you speak your heart out, you connect. That's exactly what you've got uh, myself into this podcast. So, yes, having said that, I think I didn't realize that it's been an hour now, honestly. And that's a straight answer that it was absolutely wonderful chatting. I think you get the best out of people. You make people think, ponder, and your questions are very intriguing in nature. But most importantly, I think if you're able to communicate the right message through your forum, and if you're able to inspire even 5% of some people to take the plunge and believe in themselves and not give up, I think the world will be a much, much better place than what it is now. Especially for those people who want to bring in a change not only within their ecosystem, but something which can delicately touch the chord between the the real country, which is India for us,
Mhm.
and who we are.
Hmm.
So if your podcast is able to do that and it's able to inspire people, which I'm sure because your questions are extremely sensitive in nature and it stimulates your thought process, people should get inspired. But that's the whole idea
Yeah.
of inspiring people to take the plunge, of inspiring people to go out of the comfort zone and think what is it that they can do to do the best for themselves. That's about it. So I think that's what you brought in me, and I'm extremely thankful. So a brilliant session done. Um, I think very impressive, I must say.
All right. Thank you. Such great words, Mehul. I'm just going to say once again that I'm glad it worked out. I'm glad the throat felt better and we could record now. Hospitality is often described as the art of making people feel welcome. But behind that art is something far deeper: discipline, resilience, and a belief that experiences can shape how people remember a place, a moment, or even a life chapter. Mehul Sharma's journey reminds us that building something meaningful rarely follows a straight line. Sometimes it takes 76 rejections before one person believes in your vision. Sometimes leadership means taking decisions that look irrational on paper but feel right in your gut. And sometimes the true measure of success isn't just the number of hotels you open, but the number of people who grow with you along the way. So thank you, Mehul, for sharing your story and your perspective. And thank you to everyone listening. If you enjoyed this conversation, make sure you pass it on to someone who will build things well and for others. For others, we will see you in the next episode. Until then, this is your host, Ekta Khurana, and stay connected and live your life unapologetically.